Topping today's news, the government pleased with the most recent Moody's rating on the economy. The police and PHA teaming up to provide much-needed ambulance services on the Family Islands. Opposition leaders says that he is not in a feud with former Prime Minister Dr. Minnis and a man shot and killed on Grand Bahama. Jcn Evening News. I'm Jarino Saunders. Thank you so much for joining us. A B1 rating with a positive outlook, up from the previous rating of stable. That is the latest grade from international credit ratings agency Moody's on the Bahamian economy. The government says it shows that Moody's has recognized the progress made by the government, that they have acknowledged the government's fiscal plan is working, debt is falling, the economy is growing, and that the Bahamas is on track to reduce its debt to GDP ratio below 70% by 2028. A statement released by the government on Monday said Moody's has taken note of the government's return to a budget surplus and structural reforms to strengthen revenue and control spending. This is the first time in almost 20 years an international credit ratings agency has given the Bahamas a positive outlook on its credit ratings, although the Bahamas remains a high credit risk as it relates to ratings. Like fire trucks, ambulances are also very much needed on the Family Islands, and today at the Police Training Center right here on University Boulevard, the Royal Bahamas Police Force and the Public Hospitals Authority teamed up to launch its first phase of specialized training for volunteer officers to operate the new fleet of standard shift ambulances. Clemia Neely has more on this in the next report.
The Royal Bahamas Police Force, along with the Department of Public Health and Public Hospital Authority, launched its first phase of specialized training for volunteer officers to operate the new fleet of ambulances. This initiative was purposed to enhance emergency response capabilities on our Family Islands. Dr. Albinette Roll, Director at Public Hospital Authority, expressed the importance of offering urgent care to anyone who is in need.
Is that whenever there's an emergency, until there is a trained EMT, those volunteers who are trained now, and they will speak about the training, will be able to move through the community in the ambulance, which will now allow the nurse and the physician to be in the back of the ambulance to take care of the patient, so that the patient is being stabilized all the way until they reach the clinic, and should they need referral, then that referral will happen, but the patient will be stabilized.
Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Michael Darville stated that this program is absolutely essential and will be the lifeline for essential survival for individuals in the Family Island who find themselves in need of emergency services.
And one of the greatest challenges we have is to find emergency medical technicians who will be responsible and who will be able to provide these essential services throughout the archipelago. With the partnership with the Royal Bahamas Police Force, we find ourselves in a position where we can activate our program, the first phase of our program, very quickly by utilizing the expertise along with the training that would be provided by our EMT services, and to be able to provide these services from Bimini all the way to Inagua in the short term.
Shanta Knowles, Commissioner of Police, explained the process of electing police officers from the Family Islands to operate these emergency medical service vehicles.
And so we chose officers from all of the islands who are residents on the islands to be a part of this training process today. And I'm pleased to partner with the Ministry of Health to have these officers trained in the operation of the new ambulances. You will find that there are officers who will be a part of this training from Eleuthero. Cat Island is in the house already, Abaco, Andros, and all the other islands, especially the islands in the southern part of the Bahamas, who will be a part of this training.
This initiative marks a significant step towards strengthening emergency services and ensures that no one in the Bahamas, including the Family Islands, is left without access to critical medical care. I'm Clemia Neely for Jcn News.
Thanks so much, Clemia. More from the Free National Movement's press conference on Sunday. Leader of the party, Michael Pintard, denouncing the way the Davis administration is running the country, particularly on the matter of funds lost in various investment deals or spent on large contracts without sharing the details to the Bahamian people.
I want you for a moment to imagine hiring someone to manage your business. In this case, it's the business of the Bahamas. And they start hiding the receipts of every transaction that they engage in, or the contracts that they are giving out, either to friends or to a small group of investors, and particularly without your approval, and handing over whether it's property or tangible or intangible assets of the Bahamian people, and refusing to give an explanation as to why. That's exactly what Davis Cooper administration has been.
Mr. Pintard accused the Davis administration of directly awarding contracts to its supporters, skipping the competitive process. He accused the government also of withholding crucial details like interest rates and lengths of contracts.
Every single government contract is supposed to be disclosed. That's the law. But the PLP ignores the law. You know and I know there's one law for them and it's another law for everyone else. They continue to violate the Procurement Act, a law that the F&M had designed in order to hold public officials accountable and to ensure that we reduce to an irreducible minimum corruption, and to give every Bahamian a fair shot at winning an opportunity, winning a contract in their country.
Mr. Pintard said the right to bid for various contracts and employment in the public service should be made equal and not for government supporters only. Well, the Office of the Prime Minister released a statement today saying it has completed a review of the decision-making process and the timelines related to the publication of a list of contracts concluded with various vendors in accordance with the Public Procurement Act. The statement says, contrary to the opposition's claims of improper motive, the Prime Minister is satisfied that no improper intent or malfeasance occurred. It adds that an administrative error resulted in the inclusion of a contract and a specific allocation that had in fact been paused by the Prime Minister prior to publication of the list. When this was brought to the Prime Minister's attention, he instructed that the matter be set aside for further review. Unfortunately, that instruction was not reflected in the list that was subsequently published, which has led to regrettable confusion, said the statement. The statement also reminded that the Public Procurement Act provides for the single sourcing of contracts under certain conditions. And finally, in this segment on Sunday, Free National Movement party leader Michael Pintard was asked if there is unity in the party. He did not have to answer, as members of the party in attendance answered for him with a loud, near 2-minute long round of applause and chants of F&M, F&M. Asked about the ongoing feud between himself and Dr. Minnis over the leadership of the party, Mr. Pintard said, in his opinion, there is no feud between he and the former leader.
Let me first begin with what you characterize as a feud. I don't see it as a feud. For those that are unaware, I supported our former leader for 9.5 years uninterrupted. Uninterrupted. So there was no break in the relationship. As leader of the party, at a minimum, I expect the same level of support. So, what some may interpret as a feud is simply us saying that there's a standard for all leaders in how they ought to operate. When you are in charge, you should reasonably expect the support of those persons who are in your organization, publicly and privately.
Mr. Pintard suggested that Dr. Minnis has not been on the same page when it comes to the party's message and has not been attending meetings and other functions. He says those types of actions by the former Prime Minister can be detrimental to the party. He said what the party is going through in terms of candidate selection and some incumbents not receiving a nomination is nothing new for the Free National Movement.
Anytime you are off message, it distracts from the important business of working on behalf of the Bahamian people. And we regret that that has happened. But what is also true is before 2017 general election, the Free National Movement lost 7 sitting members of Parliament. And God was gracious to us, and we were still successful. And that's why we say to people, do not be distracted, even if there is a tiny group that's well-resourced and voices are loud. By the grace of God, we'll still prevail.
F&M leader Michael Pintard. You're listening to JCN News. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back following these commercials.